was what you needed just to gain a little perspective.
We were on a break!
It's another weekend, and yet another hard decision to make. Which movie or TV show to watch? With everything going on, you decide to go with something nostalgic and choose Friends. It's already your 10th, probably 20th time watching, and every time Ross and Rachel come up, you simply go crazy because you love them. We all love them. But what you never realize, or maybe just don't want to admit, is that Ross and Rachel are the ultra legends of toxic relationships, and they totally suck. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but if you cut me a break, I'll prove it to you.
What? Well, they should put that on the box!
Every time Ross and Rachel come up, the whole "we were on a break" saga immediately pops up. But let's put that aside for a minute and focus on something even more important. The foundation. Do you ever wonder if Ross and Rachel were even friends before they got into a romantic relationship? Kind of hard to recall, right? Ross and Rachel were never truly friends. Ross had this long-standing crush on Rachel from high school that was supposed to fade with time. But when Rachel moved in with Monica, Ross mistook his old crush for genuine feelings. Rachel never considered Ross as a potential romantic partner. She barely showed any interest in him during their school days, but as soon as she learned about Ross's feelings for her, she became interested almost immediately. This wasn't because she had developed feelings for him, but because the idea was planted.
But do you think it would be okay if I asked you out sometime, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
We saw plenty of moments with Ross and Rachel being friends with Monica, Chandler, Phoebe, and Joey one-on-one, but we rarely saw Rachel and Ross sharing a friendly bond without romantic interest hanging over them. There were opportunities when they could have been friends, but they simply weren't interested in that dynamic. This brings me to my point. If there's no bond, no friendship whatsoever, how could two people ever be in a healthy relationship? Except if you're Indian. You see, we've managed to maintain lifelong marriages and relationships without even knowing each other's names. So we know how to deal with that. When there is no friendly bond between two people, the relationship tears them apart. Since Rachel and Ross barely had any friendly foundation, they often became unsupportive, insecure, jealous, and worse. Take these instances, for example. Neither Ross nor Rachel supported each other's career. Instead, they either made fun of it or completely overlooked it. Remember when Ross insisted on attending the seminar with Rachel so she wouldn't go with Mark? While there, he talked to her while she was trying to take notes, then fell asleep and kept snoring. As if that wasn't enough, he kept complaining about the 45-minute seminar, and even made jokes saying,
You know what? 100 million people went to see a movie about what I do. I wonder how many people would go see a movie called Jurassic Parka.
Oh, that is so...
No, a bunch of out-of-control jackets take over an island.
When Rachel finally had something of her own, Ross didn't just dislike it, he never supported it. And it wasn't just Ross. Rachel wasn't supportive of his career either. Everyone in their friend group made fun of Ross's career, and that's fine coming from friends. But when you're in a relationship, you could at least show a little support. When Ross was delivering his speech at the Barbados conference, Rachel kept laughing with Joey and barely paid any attention to Ross. Sure, they were in one of their on-again, off-again phases, but Rachel could have been a bit supportive. Or what about when Rachel took too long to get ready for Ross's museum function, which turned him rude? Ross's behavior wasn't welcoming, but Rachel could have picked out her outfit earlier that evening since she knew it was important to him. These are just a few examples, but both Ross and Rachel lack the maturity and understanding of what it means to be in a relationship. They both just wanted to be the priority, regardless of the situation.
Oh, maybe we should just take a break.
Okay, fine. You're right. Let's take a break. Let's cool off, okay? Let's get some frozen yogurt or something.
No. A break from us.
Every relationship is built on trust and fidelity, but neither Ross nor Rachel was fully committed. They both cheated on each other, if not physically, then emotionally, and tried to normalize it with what they called their own understanding. But in fact, they were both wrong and cheated on each other knowingly or unknowingly. Let's take Ross for a moment and his so-called "we were on a break" excuse. Ross slept with a copy shop girl thinking his relationship with Rachel had ended and tried to justify it with his famous excuse.
We were on a break!
What Ross did wasn't justifiable, but technically it was partially Rachel's fault as well. When Rachel asked Ross to take a break from their relationship, Ross thought she was speaking in the heat of the moment. But when he called her back to apologize, he heard Mark's voice, the same Mark Ross had been jealous of all along. But what about Rachel? She was in Mark's arms right after her fight with Ross and even considered being with Mark for a while. When Ross slept with the copy shop girl, it was labeled as cheating. But what about the times when Rachel did similar things? Remember when Ross was with Julie and Rachel kissed him? When he was with Bonnie, she did the same again, even in the room meant for Ross and Bonnie. She even tried to break up his wedding with Emily. What does this tell you? It leads to one simple conclusion. If it's Rachel cheating, then it's fine. But as soon as it's the other way around, it becomes a problem. That's a huge red flag for any relationship. The problem wasn't just with the characters. Even the show's creators tried to romanticize it all, despite all the signs of an unhealthy relationship that leads to nothing but misdirection. It affects those who idealize these characters and apply their dynamics to their own lives.
They've only been going out for 2 weeks. Ross has been in love with you for like 10 years.
All right, there's a lot more to say, but if I were to go down that road, it would only ruin what you call the perfect show for all of us. I really want to congratulate all of you, including myself, for surviving the most overrated relationship in sitcom history. If you want to continue this discussion, share your thoughts in the comments. And maybe, just maybe, I'll consider doing a second part and share more of my thoughts with you all. For the time being, this is your Filmy Guy DJ signing off. Remember, love is not something you can borrow from someone else, but something that you can grow within and share with others. Until next time, stay happy and curious.
You remember my brother Ross?
Sure.
Hey. You know, you probably didn't know this, but back in high school, I had a major crush on you.
I knew.